When you're playing this beautiful game and escalation modifiers aren't being an asshole to you, you get to play with a rig that enhances your chances of surviving the trail. Although you can only take one with you on a trail while your teammates potentially choose the same one or a different one, you do get to choose from a variety of 6 rigs that we have in the game right now. Now, I will say that this is gonna be a little tricky to make this ranking, because sometimes in some situations one rig can definitely outperform the other, but how we're gonna do this is we're gonna make sure, or no, we're going to rank the rigs at their max level, so level 8 with all the upgrades accustomed to them. We also gotta keep in note that certain rigs are better for certain situations / objectives to a trail compared to others, so we also have to keep that in mind. So that's why I have to be very careful with this ranking. Although it's on my own opinions, I do want to try to please the public opinion about this as well. But since I'm somebody that also likes to play with fire, we're going to start hard, and at the bottom of my personal ranking when it comes to the 6 rigs, I'm gonna have to give it to the blind rig. When I start my first escalation run and I get to choose between 3 rigs and I see a blind between one of these 3, I'm like, interesting, only 2 rigs to choose from, huh? Now don't get me wrong, as I said, every rig has its uses, but I feel like when I use blind rig, I get the least use out of it. And the other topic is, why use blind when I have stun? Why can I deploy a mine if I can just throw my stun to the ground and just bomb myself like an ISIS member? The only thing that blind has going that stun doesn't have is the fact is the moment you deploy your mine, you are pretty much set for life. Let's say you're cranking something or you're turning a valve handle. If you put your blind before that, then you can just keep committing to the objective without having to cancel, throw your stun, and then continue. With this one, you can just straight up commit and mostly get objectives done. And that's the only strong point that blind has going compared to stun. But if I could make this point even more stronger, it's the fact that the mine can rearm itself for a second detonation. So if you're dealing with a very long objective in a room, then this could become even more handy, because this is like 2 times adrenaline for free. And since I mentioned adrenaline, that is another upgrade that comes with the blind rig. Adrenaline, when it comes to comparison of the stun rig's stamina filling, then adrenaline definitely takes the icing on the cake here, because of course it's full stamina and you get to keep it for a long, unlimited time. Well, I wouldn't say long, but average time at least. You can also attempt to place a blind rig mid-chase, but you have to be very careful with this, because either you're going to have to cancel the animation because you have entered the enemy swing radius, or you have to cancel it because your deploy speed is a little bit too slow. Whether you have normal default deploy speed or the fast upgrade one, you still have to be very careful, and sometimes it's just not worth the risk of getting hit. Now, despite being at the bottom of my personal ranking, I do still think blind has its usage, just like the other 5 rigs that we still have to go over. Now, speaking of the other rigs, let's go to number 5, and I have to give number 5 to the X-ray rig. See, as I said with the previous rig, blind, I feel like every rig 100% has its uses, but of course sometimes one outperforms the other, and in this case of the X-ray rig, the issue is, once you know the map, the layout, and the objectives of the game, at some point you're like, I don't need this stuff anymore, I'm good to go without X-ray. However, X-ray is a very strong rig. Do not undermine that stuff, because having the ability to see objectives, whether it's a secondary objective, the main objective, enemies hiding behind walls, or just anything that's pivotal to your survival, from healing items, bricks, bottles, antidotes, adrenaline, this X-ray can help you find anything at any time you need. Another strong point about this rig is the fact that it probably has the shortest cooldown, I think next to barricades, but still a short cooldown on a rig that can pretty much show you everything, any intel. That's kind of busted still. Also, you can ping enemies through walls, which helps your teammates identify whether something or somebody is coming from the corner without being surprise attacked by the bullshit grab mechanic. And you also never have to worry about your battery running out on your night vision goggles, because X-ray automatically restores some battery on use. But this is unfortunately the only rig you cannot use on self-defense. Unlike other rigs, you can use it somewhat in self-defense, but X-ray is more like a situational awareness kind of one, and not one where you can just deploy in front of an enemy and just pray that they don't kill you. Now, the next question is, what is better than X-ray? What is on number 4, you may ask? Well, let me give you a short introduction to a very surprising entry for this one, the healing rig. And I'm gonna be very honest with y'all, X-ray and healing, when it comes to my ranking, they are literally on top of each other. And please let me elaborate why I do think that healing can be a little bit more beneficial than the X-ray rig. So here's the argument of saying that X-Ray can detect any healing item, which I fully stand by with, because that's the kind of the reason why I was contemplating on making X-Ray number 4 and healing number 5. But I do think healing is a little bit more life-saving, because you have the ability to not only heal yourself, but people around you. You have the ability to cure psychosis. You can slow down enemies in the range of the healing rig, which can also be very beneficial to survivability. But my number one argument, and it's kind of foul to do this, but when you're playing Escalation and God says no medical items modifier, then you're sitting ducks right there. Unless you or one of your teammates has a healing rig, then he is considered the Moses and he will free you from the slavery that's called no healing modifier. Now, then again, there's the other argument of do not get hit or do not get injured in any way, but knowing Outlast's shitty hitbox registration sometimes, that sometimes can be inevitable. Or once again with the Escalation argument, if you do spawn in injured, like lost a health bar and there's no healing items in the trail, the modifier as in, then healing rig can be, of course, the lifesaver. Now, with 3 rigs remaining and 3 rigs gone over, this is gonna be a bit more predictable, but people will be surprised why this specific rig got to number 3. Introducing you my personal favorite, the Barricade rig. A very slept on rig, and when I watch other people their rig tier list or ranking, then Barricade tends to be either last or second last. And over my time playing Outlast Trails, the Barricade rig is probably my number 1 most used rig compared to the other 5 that they offer. And I found out on my own terms that this rig is actually kinda overpowered. I wouldn't say overpowered as in busted, but it definitely has way more uses than people think and claim it to have. Now, this rig does one thing better than all the other rigs. The question is, what is that? Is that fortifying yourself from enemies? Yes, but it has actually to do with the Jaeger. The Barricade rig is the only rig known to mankind at the moment that can actually stun/keep the Jaeger in place for longer than 2 seconds. Blind rig? No effect. Stun rig? No effect. Poison healing rig? No effect. Literally, Barricade is your go-to against the Jaeger at this point. Playing around barricades against X-Pops is also very funny and also very tense and can make some tense moments. Now, I can also kind of compare this rig with the blind rig, considering they're both stationary rigs that you put down and they're pretty much set to arm, and they're both pretty much made to either trap an area or secure an area as a reagent, trying to fend off some annoying ass X-Pops. Also, whenever a X-Pop or Prime Asset is in the animation of breaking the barricade, they will not let go of the animation until the barricade is broken, so you can pretty much be picking your nose next to them rather than the animation breaking. This can only be broken when you throw an item at their heads. You can also put a max of 2 barricades at a time. If you try to put a turn 1 while 2 barricades are up, the one you did first or the one barricade you place first will be broken, while the other one you put second will stay until you try to put another barricade down. Also, this rig doesn't punish you for misplacing it. You can bash, or one of your teammates can bash a barricade you set down, and the cooldown will be shortened by half of what it used to be when you place it ordinary without bashing through it. Another neat thing is, if you are unaware of your barricade being destroyed by an X-Pop, they will be marked for a bit with a broken barricade symbol above their head, showing the X-Pop that broke your barricade. Now, with my favorite rig out of the way, it is time to go over the last 2, and this will be a little bit more predictable, but starting off with the second last one, or my personal number 2, it's gonna be the stun rig. In my opinion, the most beginner-friendly rig next to X-Ray, and probably also the most beloved rig amongst the Outlast Trails community, considering I can't go a single lobby search without seeing somebody use the stun rig. The correct answer to use this rig is pretty much to bully the X-Pop, but otherwise it's pretty much self-defense when you're getting cornered. Another neat thing is you can actually use this rig as well to disarm traps, and on top of that, if you don't hit an enemy doing so, you get a cooldown reduction, which reduces the cooldown by quite a lot, from 130 seconds by default to only 30 seconds when your rig doesn't collide with an X-Pop or a Prime Asset. Also, by chance, if you need some more stamina to keep running, you can just show it on the ground and give yourself a full stamina bar. As I said, a very noob-friendly rig, considering how easy it is to explain what it does, what it can do, and what it's useful for. And now, of course, the best rig, in my opinion, that can do everything you need, the Jammer. This is pretty much the Tom Brady of rigs. You can't cheese the game. On some maps you're gonna encounter gates that are locked and have a very long timer before they open. Well, Jammer Rig pretty much flips them off and says, "Open sesame or I will invade your property." Now with this device that Tom Brady made himself, you can also corrupt enemies, which is like a very short stun, and this happens to 3 times before it stops, and it's then pretty much vomiting every 5 seconds from what I can count. It is kinda useless to me, but still, it's sometimes funny to just see him puke out of nowhere. Now, what isn't really useless with this rig is the fact that you can unlock med boxes and toolboxes, so if you want to abuse the fuck out of your jammer rig, just open toolboxes with a padlock on it, and you have yourself a unlimited free trail of rig rechargers. You can also hack traps and turn them against enemies, which can cause a long stun to some, but of course Prime Assets like usual shake stuff up, because plot armor. However, if you do get a non-Prime Asset X-Pop to run into a trap, they can be stunned for quite a while. Now, why do I call the jammer Tom Brady's little device? Well, it's simple. When I say cheat, you can't cheat everything. You can literally cheat death one time. If you ever feel not loved in life and you just want to be touched by something so masculine yet so gigantic, and he touches you too much to the point you die, then don't worry. The jammer will remind you once a trail that you are not useless and that you can always get back up. This also includes for 1 revive for 1 teammate once a trail. The jammer can do so many things that a normal human being cannot. That is why it's the #1 rig. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I wanna thank you all for watching this video. Most of the footage to do testing on the rigs was done on my Twitch channel. Make sure to drop a follow for some more Twitch streams in the future for the horror gaming, whether it's Outlast trails or not. I will be doing anything, anytime, anywhere. Now, just a full-on reminder, this was pretty much based on my thoughts and opinions. Sometimes our opinions may conflict, but you can always tell me your personal ranking in the comments. Just do it on a civil way, because I really just don't see the point in crying about pixels being ranked in a different order to your liking. And with that pretty much out of the way, I want to thank y'all for watching. My name was Dingus Crusader, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a like and a subscribe for some more Outlast Trails content and more in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a blessed day, and bye-bye.